Let's go. There we go. We are rolling. This is the first attempt at my show. Um, Gary there's been with me through this week and tossing names and all sorts of ideas around. For right now, we'll stick with what we came up with as a conglomerate as expeditions for answers. We will talk about anything from Bigfoot to ghosts, demons, supernatural, paranormal, whatever it may be. Main topic, we'll always start out with Bigfoot and any kind of information that, we want to put out there. If something new's happened, if we've got something up there, um, if we have people come in and want to, uh, you know, um, sorry, got caught off by a comment. Dadgummit, my mind just flew off. Anyway, screw it. Let's get, we're uncensored, no holds barred. Just don't talk politics, don't hate talk, don't bully. You don't agree with somebody, just deal with it.
But what if I want to bully you? I want to bully you.
Well, you're just a straight up asshole anyway, so I know you're not going to listen to me.
Yeah. Good luck bullying her.
So, if you guys would like to go on down the line or skip around, whoever, gentlemen, please introduce yourselves to the audience.
Go ahead, Pat.
Hey, everybody. What's up? I'm Pat, representing Squatch Talk tonight, and here to do what I do. Squatch Talk follows me wherever I go. We're going to talk some Squatch and maybe some other stuff, too. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah.
Well, howdy, folks. As everybody, all my cult following knows, this is Gary Spikes of P3 Productions, Two Bears Outdoors, Poor Boys Paranormal Podcast. Anything you want, we got it. We are going to get on here and help Miss Ashley tonight and have us a good little discussion tonight on all things paranormal and all things cryptid. We might even get a little bit on the religious side of things if people will let us. This young lady kept me up until 3 o'clock this morning.
I kept you
for this.
Switch that, y'all. He's full of it. He is so full of it. He kept me up till 3. The other gentleman that I wanted to have on as a guest, he actually kept me up till almost 3 on the phone the night before. And then you did that. I mean, I'm hurting for sleep. And of course, both of us started that. We started yawning about 3 o'clock. I was like, I got to go lay down. I laid there till 7 o'clock this morning and I couldn't go to sleep. I was so frustrated.
Well, seeing I worked on the system until 4, slept until 4:45, and I haven't slept since. So here we go. Folks, this is going to be interesting. We got another individual coming on here shortly. Daniel.
Okay, cool deal. Glad to have him.
I got to say, this young lady is very sharp. If I can put any plugs in for her, everybody knows how I roll with Pat. I mean, Pat's helped me. We got a few little series of shows coming out. Yeah. But this young lady's sharp. I say young, we're about the same age, but just out of respect. But this
Wait, are you talking about me?
You're the only lady here.
Well, I mean, I didn't know if you were talking about somebody else that you might have invited, because I mean, you don't usually compliment me, so
we're
let's
live.
be real, Gary.
I've got to be politically correct here. I mean, good Lord,
Yeah. Look, I may not be a lady, but I am all woman. God, that sounded terrible.
Now, do keep in mind that you are live. I mean, live is a whole different aspect.
Hey, like I said, no holds barred. No holds barred, dude. It's well. Look, anybody that knows me knows I am a total idiot and a goofball. But when it comes to the research and answers and serious talk, that I do take it very seriously, and I take it to heart. I've always told you it's a passion for me. So, but Gary, please go ahead, please.
I was just going to say, we've got the intros out of the way. I'm going to throw word association out there. Southern Sasquatch.
Okay, Southern Sasquatch. Well, all three of us are in the South, so look. No, why'd you have to go with word association? Out of all the things, here comes Daniel.
Howdy.
Well, good
Hey.
evening, Mr. Benoit.
Yeah, long time no see to all of you.
I know you've been
For
playing
sure.
Grandpa.
Yeah. You guys notice anything different? I chopped off the Santa Claus beard.
Yeah, I know.
So
I saw that. I saw that. Looks good.
it was irritating the girlfriend's face. So, so.
Yeah, as Gary was just building me up before he threw in word association there. You know, us women don't really like a whole lot of scratch.
Yeah, my buddy Zach, he says, I'm taking your man card. I said, what are you talking about? He says, you cut off the, he calls it, anytime I grow out the beard, he calls it the war, what do you call it? Yeah, the war beard.
War beard? I thought you were about to go with warlock beard. I was like, yeah,
Nah.
Hey, look, just take a little bit more color out of it. You're getting Gandalf the Grey there, buddy.
Oh, I got grays going on up here. You just can't see it because my hair's brushed back right now. So
Yeah.
You became a grandpa, so you're allowed the
my
grays.
my hair, I'm letting it grow out on top. So yeah.
Well, I've got kind of a receding hairline myself going on here.
Well, see, I just I've got the top for y'all covered. The short is,
Well, I'm gonna let the top keep growing, but I'm gonna cut the sides. It's almost time for me to cut the sides again because I usually cut it real short on the sides and then the back and just let it keep growing. So I'm trying to catch up to where Pat was.
Right.
Yeah, before he got his cut.
Right.
Well, Daniel, real quick, go ahead and introduce yourself. So everybody knows who you are.
Oh, I didn't think I needed any introduction. Now let me stop. No, I'm just joking.
There you go. I love it.
Well, for those who don't know me, I'm Daniel Benoit. I'm a wildlife and Bigfoot researcher. I am out of the state of Virginia. Also the founder of the ECBRO, and in the middle of planning and organizing our upcoming event that we have every year. Well, which we didn't get to have this year because of the pandemic. Fingers crossed that everything goes well this coming year. So, but been dealing with a lot lately, especially with work and everything. New transitions with a new company taking over our previous company, and but anyway, yeah, that's just me right now. So a very hectic person. And then
Yeah, that's why I told Gary, because he's like, "Did you tell Daniel about tonight?" And I was like, "The way he works, I said I didn't know if he'd want to do one in the middle of the week." So
yeah, usually I don't
forget about you.
Yeah,
Not that I think about you either, but
well, I figured I wasn't doing nothing else. I just got done watching something on Netflix, and I was like, well, all right, I'll go ahead and jump on. I don't feel tired right now, but I'll try to hang in there for at least 45 minutes to an hour. So,
okay,
so yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Me too. What's up, dude?
But it's good to be here, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah. I'm glad you could come on. There's the more the merrier, and I especially, I appreciate you guys helping me launch this.
Oh yeah.
I've
enjoyed talking to you guys on your shows, and
yes, I have I already have a suggestion for you because I checked, and it doesn't look like it's shareable. So that's
okay. Yeah.
That's
okay.
That's you got to fix that, man, or
That's
like,
on Facebook, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wherever you're setting this up to, like, is this off your main timeline or is this on a specific page?
It's on the Central Alabama Bigfoot Research page. my group.
Okay. Yeah, like what Pat was saying, basically you got to change your settings or not necessarily your settings. Well, actually the settings might help too. What do you think, Pat?
Yeah,
Will
it's
she
like,
have to make the
I think it's a privacy issue. So
Yeah.
make it public,
Yeah.
and then the share button will pop up, and that's always what we do. That's how we get like when we get the views that we get, which might be 500 or might be 1,500.
Yeah.
It's because we shared it around to 10, 15 groups.
Yeah, we all
and
cross
I
platforms.
didn't. Yeah, and I didn't plug it either. I mean, I think I announced it tonight. It's been one of those weeks where it was just like, yeah, I want to, kind of launch it and get
Well,
it out there.
Yeah, this is kind of
Try
a
it.
test run anyway.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
Yeah, now the other thing is too, depending on your group settings and the number of members you have in the group, sometimes Facebook won't let you go back. Like if it's set to private, like where it's just members only, sometimes Facebook won't let you change it to public either once it's already changed and been established for so long. That's why I keep my. They used to let you go back and forth at one time, but they changed. I don't know how long ago they changed, but I've been keeping my Facebook group, the ECBRO main group. I keep that public. It's just I just have to watch who I let in, and the other thing that helps is under your administrative settings, put on your post approvals. That way, if somebody tries to post something stupid or ugly or whatever, you can control it from being seen. You can that way you can catch that person and block them and everything else. But so that's what I figured. I figured it doesn't hurt in having it set public, as long as you have the other settings properly set up. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah. All right.
All right. Anybody got any news of any events going on or happenings? Anything? Any news?
Yeah, I killed 2 Bigfoot last night. I cut them open, looked at them. They're mechanical inside. They're robots
with a little alien mounted in the head, aren't they?
Yeah, just like the Men in Black.
Yeah,
So, all right, that's it. We have the answer. Everyone's been looking for. That's what's going on.
I always knew it would be you. I always knew it would be you.
Yeah. So, all right, so I guess Bigfoot world's done.
Time to move on to the Tooth Fairy.
Yep. Or I don't know, Dogman. We still don't know anything about Dogman, really, other than that they're actually wild North American kangaroos. But that's just my theory.
Right.
Speaking of which,
they're in Florida.
I got
I used to see them running down the street.
Pretty impressive tracks yesterday morning. I need to kind of evaluate in the next few days. They're interesting. I mean, it literally looks like a dog print on the front, but it's almost as it's got a leg off of it, coming back to a ball. It's interesting.
Yeah. I think they're kangaroos. I don't know.
Well, all I know is when we start working on your little project and you bring in footage of them running around down there, and if I actually see one, I'm never going in the woods again because I'm terrified of them things. Bigfoot's bad enough, but a dog man, no.
Everybody says they're so mean. That's the narrative around Dogman has become that they're really mean and aggressive. So, I'm just thinking in my head, I'm like, well, what better reason to start firing off rounds at them? You know? I mean, it's one thing if you see a Sasquatch and you're unsure because they're intimidating looking, but they're not really being aggressive. It's another thing to see a werewolf and go, this thing's coming after me. It looks like it wants to kill me and it doesn't belong on this planet. I think most people would just open fire, dude. And, I've never heard anybody say they've even taken a shot at one.
I've actually, I've taken like 2 or 3 reports and heard 2 or 3 where they shot at them and it didn't affect them.
Have you ever heard of the show Dixie Cryptid
Oh
with
yeah,
Cam?
I know Cam.
Did you
Yeah.
listen to he posted, was it a month ago? This man, wrote a story in that Cam read, and basically two buddies go out in the woods. This happened about 30 years ago, and they're out in the woods hunting, and he set up his tree stand, and then his buddy went a little further along, set up his, and then he hears his buddy just screaming, and I mean, all of a sudden, bang, 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 and he looks over there and he sees this wolfish, dog-like Sasquatch figure going after and just clawing at his friend in the tree stand, and it ripped him out of that tree stand. And he said his buddy had to have hit it about 6 times, and he mauled the friend to death and then went looking for the other guy, walked underneath him. It's a real interest. I mean, it's sad to listen to this guy talk about, watching his friend basically get mauled and he couldn't do anything about it.
Okay, that's a weird one.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a very, very weird one that I'm immediately skeptical of. Anytime, I mean, you're talking about somebody actually got killed.
Yes.
So
his body was never found. Because the guy that witnessed it, he was also mauled, but it did not kill him. I think he said that he woke up in kind of like a shallow grave and just like with leaves and stuff covering him, and then he had to kind of make his way out of the woods. It was just, I mean, it was an interesting story, and it really made you kind of go, wow. And if it is true, the
minute somebody dies, who obviously that person would have a family, family, friends, and all that, dude. That's a crime scene, and So if you're gonna tell that story, you gotta document there has to be documentation of it somewhere.
If you I don't know if there was or whatnot, but yeah, if you look on go on Dixie Cryptid, and I think there were 3 different stories that Cam read that night.
Yeah,
and it was from roughly maybe 2 months, but it's been just recently that he posted that podcast.
I mean, I would just, as a true skeptic, I would take issue with that because it already has huge flaws. In other words, anytime somebody actually dies in the story, again, they have loved ones who would want answers in that situation. Law enforcement would be involved at some point, in some way.
Yeah, yeah.
So if this guy survived and he has a story to tell, I don't care if it's out, that crazy story or not. They're at least going to go to the scene, and again, there will be documentation of a crime scene. So without that documentation, it's it's one of those like urban myths, or rural myths or something.
Well, it's funny you said that because there's a real famous story from here in southern Oklahoma. It's not Dogman related, but it's Sasquatch supposedly down around the springs down in southeast. I'll think of the name of it, South Central Oklahoma, Brown Springs, where a young couple was out making out on the hood of a car, and his head supposedly got turned around backwards and eviscerated, and she got eviscerated, laid out on the car. And back in the 70s and early 80s, and we was actually able to track that report down and found a very similar police report. Of course, it didn't give all the details,
Yeah.
but of that time frame. So there was a legitimate report backing the story,
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's fine. I would just, my only argument would be when there's a witness involved, like that ups the game times 10.
Yeah.
So I mean, if 2 people are found dead and people aren't sure why, mountain lion or bear or some sadistic person, like, I get that, but when there's a witness involved who can say, "Oh no, it was this creature thing,"
Yeah.
Again, loved ones will always want answers. So
absolutely,
there will be documentation of.
Well,
You know,
I want to
dog
say
men.
that they did go back in once he made it. He did. Got Snake Man coming on. Hey, bud. But
Hello.
once he did actually make it in, or make it to safety, that he did. They did go back out. There was a search party. I believe a report was made. I may be saying this wrong because it's been a while since I listened to that podcast. But I
Now,
want to.
here's,
I mean, I do know that they said that his body was never found.
here's my question though. You know, Cam has started a second series where he's reading stories now.
Hmm
Was
He
this
mix
on
and
that?
matches.
Yeah, I was
He does
wondering
the
if it was on the
campfire.
story side or on the which tale it came from. But you was talking about the dog men, real famous story, the siege of Lockett Ranch. Nobody has yet to prove it fake or non, real. I don't know if you've heard that story about where grandkids and grandparents got holed up with a pack of dog men around them and they got into a battle with it. And really,
no, I've never heard that one. No.
Yeah, it was. Matter of fact, I think it might have been in Alabama or Mississippi where it supposedly happened. But I don't know if that's fictional or I don't even know if it's portrayed to be fictional or portrayed to be real or not.
Well, any pictures that I have really been presented with of Dogman, it's on all fours usually, crouched, however they say it, and it looks more like a razorback to me. I mean, just
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Anyway, guys, real quick, this is Snake Man. He is a paranormal investigator. He does field research for Bigfooting, and he's real good guy, and he's got some great stories to tell. I know. Can't remember if you have, Pat, but at least between the three of us, me, Gary, and Snake Man, we have all had Class A encounters with Bigfoot.
I have not.
Yet.
Okay.
Yet.
I'm sure you.
We're gonna fix that for him.
Yeah.
I told Gary that last night. I was like, man, I said, if anybody is gonna catch the perfect footage, it's gonna be Pat. I love his ideas.
Wait until this show this special presentation we're putting together. I mean, and I do got to apologize to everybody, and I know Pat has too, about it taking us so long. But we're really wanting to put something together special for you folks.
Good work takes time, boys.
Yeah.
We had a question on Facebook, which right around the dog men, and now if I remember right, Snake Man, you're in Alabama, aren't you?
No, you're north. Tennessee. You're in Tennessee, aren't you?
Tennessee. Okay, this would be right in your area then. I had a question on Facebook. Have y'all covered?
Unclick your.
He's clear.
Arkansas.
Arkansas, really?
That's right. I knew you were somewhere north of me.
Have y'all covered the beast between the lakes?
We got the mojo. Not yet. We got the mojo too.
What part of Arkansas, if you mind me asking, Snake Man?
Springdale.
I got a lot of family all through from D Queen to Hot Springs, all the way over up to can't even talk. Glenwood, Salem, Falk.
Yeah, that's closer to you, Gary, than us.
Oh yeah. He's about 3.5 hours from me, 4 hours from me.
Yeah. Just I think if I just had a request on one of these for me to tell my first Type A encounter.
Actually, I don't think I've heard that.
You haven't heard my Class A?
I heard the second one. I don't think I heard the first one.
What was the second one?
We've talked about so much. I mean, good Lord.
Okay, my first one was at the boot camp.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when I was on the parade field. Basically, it was 2012. I had just started working at a juvenile corrections boot camp as a corrections officer. And I mean, this place was out in the middle of nowhere, Alabama, inside an old mine crater, and just as wild as it could be. And I mean, back then I was, I wasn't like an avid Bigfooter. I didn't believe in them, but I didn't dismiss them either. I always had an open mind, and I always was interested in. I watched Finding Bigfoot and all the other shows like that. But first thing that happened, I was there during the day training, and I noticed this huge footprint that was probably sunk about an inch deep into the ground. And I grabbed one of the inmates that was about 6'2", 6'3", 250 pounds. I made him hop on one foot next to this thing. He didn't even leave a footprint. He didn't even scratch the dirt. But going on from there, anything from hearing growls, howls, seeing eye shine. My God rest his soul. He was an idiot. But we had a rock throwing incident where he was throwing rocks at a spot of eye shine that we saw, and he wound up getting about a football-sized rock thrown back at him that landed at his feet. We took off running in. I've got some very crappy video of the footprints. It's something I wouldn't put out there as evidence because the pixelation's so terrible, the lighting is so terrible. But like as tall as the grass was, where we ran, it looked like cross country ski tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Where this was, it was, I mean, you could tell it came in that way and went out the same way, and it was, the strides. It was almost like perfect line of travel. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to find my cord. Battery's running low. But anyway, that all progressed into basically one night. We had bad weather moving in, and I was doing a security check outside, going around the grounds. And as I was just about to finish, I was standing on the parade ground, and I just got this kind of thought, feeling, voice, something in my head saying, "Get inside now." And so I just kind of turned and started jogging up to the office, and these bolts of lightning just lit up the sky like it was daylight. And I happened to look just past the obstacle course. It was a little bit uphill, right next to a tree, and I mean full figure from head to toe, arms, legs. There was a Sasquatch, and I judging from where his head was next to that tree, and after I went up and looked at it the next day, he was at least 10 feet tall, and he was just standing there watching me. And that was what got me into, oh, I'm gonna go out and start hunting these things. I'm gonna start researching, because I never expected that to ever happen to me. It's just it's like a hiker that doesn't believe or isn't thinking about it, and they're walking through the woods, and hey, there's something that's not a normal animal.
Yeah.
But
even if you think you might know about them, like, you're right.
Yeah.
It's like, what, like, when it becomes real, even if you're into Bigfoot, the minute it becomes real, it's a game changer, man. It's like, no, like, that's me. That's my reaction. I'm like, no,
mhm.
Like, I know they're out there, but I don't, why are they next to me right now? I don't like this,
Yeah, I know that there were several of us, Gary and I spoke about this last night, that were talking about wanting to meet at the Cherokee National Forest in Tennessee. And I'd love to go out there, but any more, expeditions, field research, outings that I go on, I do want to do some filming, not as an instruction on how to track or hunt or research Bigfoot, but more as being safe, because you get people that hear, oh, there's a Bigfoot sighting, let's go run in the woods and find out. And yeah, Gary, we had this conversation too. You got people that run in the woods without any kind of protection. and they don't think about the other critters that we do know about and do attack people on a regular. So it's one of
Yeah.
those things where, I'd like to make instructional videos to at least not just inform people of what's out there, but, show them the safest way to go about if you are going to go out and try to find Bigfoot or find evidence. This is how you go about being safe just hiking in the woods, period.
Well, absolutely. And a lot of Bigfooters love to go off trail.
Yes.
I would say that the most important thing you need to have safety wise, is some kind of GPS device or an emergency, emergency GPS beacon.
Yeah.
So, Bigfooters like to go off trail, and I don't recommend that because that's not what I do. But hunters like to go off trail too. It's just, it is a safety issue, man. If you're going to go off trail, it's not that hard to get turned around. It really is not. If you're not,
no, it's not.
If you're not paying attention, especially this time of year, the sun moves so fast. You could easily get turned around 15 degrees. Will send you in back. You think you're walking back the way you're supposed to, and you're 15 degrees off. That's enough to make you, get lost easily.
Oh gosh, yeah. And let me clarify to everybody out there. Sorry about that. When Pat is saying a GPS device, he is not talking about your smartphone, because there is no coverage in a lot of places out in the woods. Even Cherokee National Forest, we're not that far from a town. We were right by the lake.
Dedicated GPS satellite device. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna warn everybody. This is not a cheap hobby.
Mm-hmm.
No. And for those people, I would suggest for those people that can't afford a GPS, learn how to read a map. Get a compass.
What I should say.
Oh yeah, always have as a backup. Have a topographical map of the area that you are in. Carry a compass. Know how to use it. Give yourself a trial run. Go to a state, a park and get your town, your city map, and look at how the park is, and just see if you can put certain marks there, like the geocaching. Look up stuff like there's so many ways you can learn just how to do it, and it's essential to your survival. You can think, oh, I'm just going to go walk in the woods for a couple of hours and I'll be right back. I don't need that. Like you said, you take a couple steps off, and next thing you know, you're like 5 miles deeper into the woods than you ever thought you'd be.
Yeah.
Right.
And you don't know your way back.
Yeah. Experts can get disoriented in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
As far as one question we have, yes, we have a subject of Dogman, and we do have someone wanting to hear more stories on encounters. So, guys, if you want to throw some of yours in, please feel free.
Well, like I said,
just start talking. You don't have to raise your hand. I'm not going to call on you.
Well, yeah, it's fine. Like I said, I killed two Bigfoot last night, and
Pat, I told you not to talk about that.
Well,
the men in black are coming for you.
Yeah. So I actually it was my Chihuahuas. I had 2 Chihuahuas. They did the dirty work, and it was amazing to watch. Let me tell you, man. They tore those ankles up, and it was over. It was over.
Oh shit! Chupa got after a bull in the pasture yesterday. He got that thing bucking. I'm about ready to go next door and make a deal with that man. Look, okay, the heifers you sell off for beef, but keep the bulls, and me and Chupa will make them rank, and I get to make the money off of them when you sell them to the PBR. So
yeah,
that's gonna be my new business venture.
I heard Santa was using the Bigfoot to pull his sleigh now.
It's more economical.
Yeah. Why not?
Instead of paying 8 reindeer plus one with a red nose, just get a couple Sasquatch.
Hey,
Yeah.
they
Forgetting even
double
the
for
night.
security.
They've done everything else, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, you were mentioning something about the getting lost in the woods and the animals and all that. I've dealt with animals for over 16 years. You know, wild animals, and like I tell people, just because you see me do something, don't do it like I do it. I was taught, I was trained. You know, take a
Yeah,
course
they don't
in
call him
how
Snake
to
Man.
survive.
Yeah, they don't call him Snake Man for nothing. He knows what he's doing. I've seen the pictures.
But I mean, I'll be honest. If are you referring to snakes?
He does more.
Snakes, any kind of animal.
So here's the thing. It's like if I come a copperhead out in the remote wilderness, I'll leave it alone. Obviously, I won't. Like, you know, if it's on a hiking trail, I might try and chase it away. But if I find a copperhead outside my house where little kids and pets and animals are, I'll kill it outright. Just bam, dead. Because I can't have that. You know.
Right. Like I tell people, it's not the snake you see, it's the snake you don't see.
Yeah. Which is why you should wear snake boots also, especially if you're hiking off trail. You should have a good pair of snake boots, man. That'll save your butt.
I understand that, Pat, but most people can't afford snake boots. Just a good heavy pair of hiking boots will stop probably 90% of all the snakes in North America, unless it's a big timber rattler.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Gary. Like hiking boots are good enough. It's like I guess snake boots are like you that peace of mind for that 10%. But yeah, you're right. I mean, you know,
I'll tell you what,
leather will help stop a snake bite.
Say that again?
I said any kind of piece of leather that you wear, like chaps, boots, anything like that will stop a snake bite. Or at least slow it down.
Right, to where it either can't get in you or barely gets in you.
Yeah.
Which is the difference between, like, if you're allergic, could be life and death, you know? Yeah.
I went on Amazon looking for some snake boots. And they were, you know, like $100. And then I was like, you know, let me at least check out the chaps or, you know, the slide-on booties, and I found a pair of really good chaps. They were discounted to half price, which was $25, and the only reason why they were discounted is because they had cosmetic defaults, which basically like there's a rub in the camo or something. I'm like, I don't care about that. I'm gonna tear them up anyway, but $25 for some snake chaps.
You can go to, do you guys have Bass Pro there where you're at? Because if you do, they sell gaiters that go across your boots. They're boot guards for like $200.
I tell you, I don't know how many times I've stopped copperhead and fairly decent size, you know, rattlesnakes with just a good heavy pair of knee-high rubber boots, especially if you're around, you know, water. That you know, the rubber will like Snake Man was saying, you know, any good leather boot will stop most snake bites. I mean, if you get a hold of a 6-foot rattler, I've seen 6-foot rattlers go through my snake boots. You know, my old snake boots. I'd throw them down there and try them out, and they'd go through it because I mean, you're talking fangs that wide and coming in. But
wow. I've seen snakes big enough when they hit something, they knock it off its feet.
Oh yeah. And that's another factor too. I mean, you're only going to, I think, you're only going to protect yourself so much. A good solid head and know where you're putting your feet. And like y'all said, the average person is not going to get too far off the trails, but there is. But you know, I think a big factor that everybody has not mentioned is don't go by yourself. I mean, I've been doing this 25 years. I'm literally a survivor. I teach wilderness survival, and I don't run out there by myself unless I have to.
I do, but I do it for a different reason.
I don't.
You know,
I
If I'm
do, but I'm
familiar with
locked and loaded, and I mean, I'm,
if I'm
you know,
familiar with the area, I will. But they're talking about the LBL. That's one area that I will not go to by myself. There's areas around you in Arkansas, Snake Man. I will not go out by myself.
Well,
oh,
I'm an old Florida boy.
um, Gary, that I sent you that footprint in the snow picture, didn't I?
Yes.
Yeah, that was from the Chiaha Wilderness here in Alabama. That is a very popular place to hike, but there are a lot of areas that people do not go, so that's one place that I wouldn't go alone. Unless I've been and really did finally get, learn that area by like the back of my hand, but still wouldn't go without GPS, still wouldn't go without map and compass. I go the military route where you just, you got the knife, got the compass, you got the whole little set that's right there together. So you just got to make sure you're prepared. If you do, but I do not recommend it. And I know that there are a lot of people that tell you when you are out squatching, and this is what happens because you have people tell you this or say this about their experience. When you're walking down a trail, when you're walking down a road, if you go about 12 paces off of the road or the trail, that's where you're going to start finding your tracks.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you get people that just meander off. And no, if I see a sign or something like that and I can track it, I'll follow it. I will, that's when I will get off, but not unless I have a good sense of where I am and I know I can get back to where I started from.
Yep.
Ugh.
One thing I was thinking of too is that it'd be imperative for people to pack with them is a first aid kit.
Yes, of course. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And learn how to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got an old, actually military issued backpack that I can hook a camel to. So I've got plenty of water. And people don't realize it, even this time of year. I don't care how cold it is outside. You can still dehydrate quickly, especially like if you are in higher altitudes. It's just, and you got to learn how to balance things. If it's cold outside, you're bundled up and you're just huffing away and you start sweating, you need to chill out because that's a good way to also get hypothermia. So,
way.
You got to go through those things. But yeah, I keep all everything we mentioned before plus first aid. And like I said, I have my 2 guns. And then, of course, whatever recording equipment. And I've been trying to find the individual bags of Skittles. Just chill out. We'll get there. That's my best friend down at the bottom that made that comment. But now she just made me stop.
Skittles, or you called her Skittles. Individual bag of
Skittles.
Skittles.
Yeah.
It's an inside joke. I'm not putting that on the air.
Okay, I was just gonna say. Here I'm thinking
that on the air.
In my 30 years of wilderness survival experience, I'm trying to think of all the uses you could use for Skittles except for a short little sugar rush, and I'm like, what in the world, like, maybe baiting a trap or something. Somebody's got a sweet tooth.
Yeah. Yeah, you could definitely. I think a bear, draw a bear in with Skittles. That's about it. Why would you want to?
Call in that magical unicorn that shoots Skittles out of its butt to carry your butt out or something.
Or hey, you could do the little breadcrumb thing with Skittles. That's how you can find your way out of the woods.
Somebody was trying to find it. Somebody, Bigfoot would be walking along behind you eating them. I can see that now. Turn around and follow your trail back out, and you come face to face with one going, "You got any more?"
Dude, you ate my Skittles.
Sort of an ET moment, right?
Yeah.
Yep, Reese's Pieces. Gary. Oh, go ahead, Snake Man.
No, that's okay. I was going to say it kind of reminded me of the that encounter I told you about. Remember when I was 14.
Go ahead and tell it. People are wanting to hear more stories. So,
Well, it's not a dog face, but it was really interesting. I was 14 years old. I was out doing a squirrel contest with my father, catching squirrels, uh, and we were out in the swamps on our land and everything. And I thought I had him beat because I had a bag full of squirrels. So I started heading back up and shooting squirrels as I went, filling the bag up. And you know that feeling you get when something's around you and it's watching you, like you're not alone.
yeah.
Well, I had that feeling, and it was weird is that I'd stop to take a break and everything went quiet, and then it would come back. Then funny part was is we made it. I made it to the land. I had a single shot 20 gauge, and that's all I had, and different shells in my pockets. And it started getting darker, so I started heading back up. I get up to the land. I could see the fire going, and I yelled at my dad, "I got you beat!" And I get up there to my dad, and I'm standing maybe 10 feet away from him at the least. And he said, "Son, whatever you do, turn around slow, do not freak out, and don't make any sudden movements." And he eased down, put down his drink because he was drinking Jack Daniels and Coke. And he picked up the Ruger Red Hawk that he had and the Q-beam, and he pulled the hammer back. And I turned around, and there was this big old form standing behind me at arm's length away from me. And this thing and I, we just stared at each other like two confused puppies. He would cock his head, I would cock my head. He would grunt and look at me like, "What the heck are you?" And I looked at him like, "What the heck are you?" I thought it was a friend of my dad's pulling a joke, so I brushed my hand across his chest. He grunted and stepped back. So I stepped back. And my dad hit it with the Q-beam. When he hit it with the Q-beam, it did a growl, then it ran for the woods, disappeared onto all fours into the woods and vanished. Then we seen it like a month later up on our land, getting the corn off the corn feeders and stuff like that. And then when my father passed away, my mom had told us that she had seen it going tree to tree. It went circled the house that we were had there, the house that she was living in. It would smack the walls, and she came out to check on stuff, and she would find predator animals dead in the yard, totally crushed and pommeled, with also gifting stacks.
Oh,
Interesting.
don't feed. What? What did you say? Gifting? What?
Yeah.
Gifting stacks.
Oh yeah, don't feed them. God.
No, she didn't feed them. My dad had deer feeders up for the deer. He was going around and taking the corn off those deer feeders.
Oh.
Yeah, if y'all wouldn't mind, go ahead and explain. I keep muting myself and forgetting to unmute because I do know that there is someone watching that's I'll probably be going out and checking their property. So once deer season is over, but because there's some things going on, and instead of gifting and like putting food out and stuff, of course, because trail cam pictures that I've seen, there is eye shine. You see one eye, so it's probably a deer from the side, and it's just there's dangers in doing food. There's kind of misconceptions in doing food because of the other critters. But I suggested doing the rocks, doing a glyph on the ground, or stacking them,
Well,
taking a picture of it, and then going back later and checking to see if it has been altered in any way.
here's the deal.
Mhm.
There's signs in the bloody national parks that says "Don't feed the bears" for a reason. Okay, these things are just as intelligent, and y'all get me on a rant here because I've been all over this nation and camped out everywhere. But these are an equal opportunity feed. Any food source, they're going to come in and check out. And folks, I'm sorry, I'm from the South, but all you Southern folks that's not around bears drive me nuts when you leave all your food laying out on your tables and you leave everything easy access. You inadvertently don't know what you're doing. Well, here's what happens. You feed some of these, you feed them and feed them and feed them, and they say, hey, looky here. We got an easy source of food, and then you take that away. What happens? Well, you got a 7 or 8 foot tall, 800-pound pissed off gorilla coming at you going, what the hell? Where's my dinner?
Where's my dinner?
Well, see, we weren't. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just, I'll get on a rant on that because I believe that, and I'm in a opera. I believe that it's not a good thing for the sea, not only for the humans, but for the target species. I mean, what does sugar do to their system? We don't know. What does all the chemicals that we eat? We don't know. I mean, it's not good either way around.
Real quick, I do want to say I didn't want to skip over anybody that was throwing questions out there. Someone mentioned Kellerman, Alabama. Jim Michaels, or is it McKelly's? Sorry if I'm pronouncing your last name wrong. Yeah, Kellerman is about an hour and a half away from me. I'm in Coleman County. And as far as the very last one, when I haven't ever heard of it before. Do you have something you know? Could you elaborate on that question, if you don't mind? Because all it's showing up as Facebook user on here. So
The panels encounters, I've never even heard of that one.
I'm assuming it's y'all. You're in the panel.
You can catch my encounters. I've got 2 actual shows of my Class A at 18 inches on my YouTube channel, but I've got a few others that we don't really. I haven't put on channels because, I mean, to me they're not as grand motif as like Snake Man. You know, actually brushing chest. I'd actually like to talk to you a little bit about that, Snake Man, in private. Because if you've been that close to one, man, you could collaborate a little bit.
I was going to say, Gary, the story that, you know, me that video where you finally sat down and got it off your chest because you know, we all go through it. We're all afraid at first to come forward because we don't want to be thought of as crazy. We don't want to be made fun of. And then you kind of get to that, you know, IDGAF kind of attitude like I've got now. You can think whatever you want to about me. But yeah, Gary, you did an outstanding job of telling about your encounter. And you say 18 inches, but the way you were talking about it seemed more like it was.
Well, I mean, I'll just give you an idea. You picture you're laying your head on the seat of a pickup. You're laying across the seat of a pickup, and your head's up against the door of the pickup next to the steering wheel. So the steering wheel's here, and it's looking in the side glass at you. So, you know, it could have been less than 18 inches, you know. I mean, it's even to this day, people laugh at me. I either sleep out in the open or I close every window and every shade in the house. I either want to see them coming or I don't want to see them at all. I mean, it's,
you know, Gary, you know, everybody else has alarm clocks. What's with you? You got a Sasquatch alarm clock.
Buddy, I'm gonna put it this way: that happened in 2016, and I already had issues with sleeping. But even now, I mean, you know, you're talking 5 years later. Well, yeah, 5 years later, and I still, well, my wife will tell you, she was just ended up snoring one night, and I shoved her completely out of the bed. I mean, I have PTSD from it. I mean, and that's the reason. I'm so pro advocate for folks that's had encounters with these things, and people don't make fun of them because it is a life-changing experience. I mean, it makes you question everything that you have been taught.
Well, I believe that we're a kindred spirit with these creatures because you don't pick them. They pick you.
I believe that they let you that they know they're letting you see them. I don't believe that it's a happenstance thing. I believe that if you see one, it's for a reason.
Yeah, they're in
Whether it's a
control.
decoy,
Whatever their motivation,
yeah.
they are in control.
Oh yeah,
Always.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
And
You
as
know,
far as that goes, I honestly believe they're just world champion title holders of hide and seek. They're not wearing a cloak of invisibility and standing 3
Mhm.
feet away from you.
you see how much it's affected me, right?
Well, yeah, it concerns you. I mean,
Is that you got some Jack and Coke in that?
I ain't telling.
There you go. There you go, Pat. I should have known you'd have the answer to that.
you know, it's funny you said that. You know, we had that conversation last night, actually, about the whole supernatural side of Sasquatch.
Yeah.
I had a individual email me today and talking about, well, if that's because I've said on my show many a time that I don't think that they're supernatural. I think that they're so good in their environment that they seem to have superpowers because they're so good. They are totally natural. But
Yep.
I got into a conversation with this individual and they was talking about how come we see them around cemeteries. I said, well, here's the deal. They're definitely a nocturnal animal. And when we go to cemeteries, we're out there at night hunting for ghosts. Well, they're probably everywhere all the time. It's just the amount of people being in the cemeteries at night overlaps their time period that they're there.
Mhm.
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 And food source, what is around every cemetery that we all know? About 90% of them. Fences.
Mm.
You know how many times I've walked in the middle of a cemetery doing a paranormal investigation and see rabbits going everywhere because they get caught up in the fences? A lady out of Louisiana told me that she actually thought in her mind that they was actually around the cemeteries to grab the rabbits that would get caught up in the fence. You know, you never thought about it. I've seen a lot of coyotes in cemeteries chasing the rabbits.
Mhm.
Real quick, does anybody right offhand, Mr. Production there, have any sound bites of howls, growls, whoops, and grunts and farts and
How far down that rabbit hole you want to go?
I was asking because we do have a question on here about what type of sounds.
Now, folks, once again, this
How
is
would
all
you describe the sounds? But
this is all alleged sounds. I mean,
yeah, nothing proven.
Yeah, I mean, I had one scream at me one night. It was pretty powerful, but I can't replicate it, with my vocals.
Right.
All I can do is find something online that sounds a lot like it, Yeah. And it is powerful.
They're very good at mimicking. We know that. They can make. I've got my own recording of the one that it was like coyotes going crazy, and then you hear this one coyote howl in the middle that's just it's a little bit off, and then at the end it falters.
Yep.
And plus it has a bigger lung capacity to it, and you're just kind of like, I'm not so sure that was a coyote, but you can't prove it unless you're standing there videoing it.
Exactly.
So these are alleged Bigfoot sounds.
Now you're talking about the coyote?
Yeah.
Here's one I recorded, or I say I recorded, a group that I was with. One of the individuals recorded. I was standing there next to them. And it's a very common sound, but one that we have not been able to identify yet. It is coyotes, but right on the trailing end of the coyotes, you'll hear something. Now you're talking about coyote?
Yeah.
Just a second. Sorry, technical difficulties. Why are you doing that?
I'm gonna find my did I just go down or up? Let me get Snake Man back in here. Hey, Chup. You say hi to your buddy Pat. Say hi, Pat.
Hello,
Here's Pat. My buddy. And this come here, Milo.
Here we go. This is listen to the tail end of the coyote. You hear how that last little hoop has the drop in it? I mean, that's not real conducive. Pat, do you think I ought to play the audio that I recorded at the farm at my property down there?
Absolutely, dude. That is compelling as it could possibly be. I couldn't believe. I was like, "Oh, Gary's going to send me something, and I'm going to have to analyze it and figure it out." And I was like, "Oh crap, I know what that is." Yep, I know exactly what that is.
See if I can find it right quick.
Like, I can tell you this: it ain't no coyote.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, now here's some that was recorded in. I'll get to that one, but here's some that was recorded in southeastern Oklahoma, and I think it was. You know what? I'm not even going to do that one because I don't know when it was. I'm not going to. It'll take me a minute to find. I've got so much stuff going on.
Here, look, real quick. I mean, no, I don't have the fancy equipment, but I will play. I'm going to play one. This was here in Alabama. Ed Brown and I were down the road, and we were trying to get our whole group back together, and he yells out, "Roll call," which you'll hear. Unless you're listening with earbuds, like on the actual recording, you won't hear what we heard 20 feet away from us, which was what we thought another team member saying, "Yeah." But then after that, in the distance, you hear a whoop. And I'm going to put that up to the phone, so we'll see how that plays. If I can go back to it. Okay, you ready? It's not even dead, gummit. Why is it quiet?
Yeah, a condenser speaker into a condenser microphone doesn't register.
Pardon our technical difficulties. Mine aren't electronic. You know, it's just all up here. So I don't know what to say about Gary.
I've got mine ready.
Wait, let me see this. Oh, that one's too quiet. I don't know why these are playing so quiet on here right now.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, go for it. That was different.
You know what's funny? Some people would say that sounds almost like a large canine.
You know, I'm going to be blunt with you. I'm not saying I've got the whole story of that weekend and the other evidence collaborating it. We had a lot of activity in that area. This is a very a long, about 15 years worth of investigations. But I wonder. I'm not saying it's a Sasquatch. I don't know. I do know that our family's been on that property since the 1800s, and ain't nobody in our family heard nothing like that until that. And I recorded that a month and a half ago.
All right, Gary, I just sent you
Wow.
my 2 recordings on Messenger. See if you can get them to play, because for some reason the volume on radio was playing fine today while I was on the roof with Christmas lights, but
You know
I guess
who?
it decided to get quiet now.
You know who has really good recordings is Mary Catherine.
Yeah, definitely, and that's where actually the two I just sent him come from. Was an
Oh, okay.
investigation down there. Yeah.
All right, here
Oh,
we
I
go.
was gonna
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Nice hoop. Nice hoop. I've heard that a bunch.
That, I mean, I kid you not, me and Ed were like literally, we had one of those huge boom mics, probably about 100 yards away. That's why it's so low
Yeah.
on that recording. And Ed yells, roll call, 20 feet away from us, just right inside the wood line. We hear this, yeah. And we thought it was one of the other investigators, but come to find out he was all the way down the road. And then right after that, yeah, a little bit further back in the tree line, we whoop, but it was loud.
I don't know how many times in my years of experience of being out, I've heard that whoop. You know, I mean, that's just, it's a locator to me. Every time I've heard it, it's like, well, me and the wife, believe it or not, when we're in the woods, we use that to get each other's attention. But
that's I want to have him as a guest here on the show. I'll have to get in touch with him. Great guy, well-known cryptozoologist. On that actual expedition, he dubbed me Whoopers because every time I whooped, I got an answer, and he said, "You've got the best whoopers of anyone I know." And I was like,
are you sure he was talking about your audio?
yes, he was. But yes, of course, we did make it into a different joke. I even made him record that he himself was dubbing me Whoopers because I got the best he's ever heard. But yeah, hopefully I will be able to get in touch with him because he's got some great stuff to talk about.
All right, here's your other one real quick. Coyote there.
That one. You heard it falter at the end?
Mm.
That one. That was the one. Okay.
Yeah,
The third one.
I'll send you some audio. I'll have to find it. But I've got audio of coyotes that's real close. I mean, but like you said, with the waiver in it, it could be it's definitely.
Well, when you're,
It sounded like it was moving.
That almost sounded like a rabbit kill to me. From what I could hear.
Yeah.
that was, we were all sitting, I mean, with the recordings, we had stopped and walking around because it was this time of year, and it was I think 20 degrees outside at night while we were walking around, and we would stop every once in a while, walk into the front yard and stand around the fire to warm up, and that's when that recording actually came across, and it was like you could hear it, and then it was that lung capacity that you could hear in that howl and just how forceful it was. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot better when you experience it live.
Well, that's the whole thing, and that's the thing that I push so hard with anybody that sends me stuff. And I don't want to sound like I'm being facetious, but don't just send me an audio without a story or without prior evidence. I want to know the backstory. I want to know what happened then and what happened afterwards, because that helps me identify what it is. You know, it's just like that's a whole different show. If somebody sends me a picture of a track, well, I don't want to see just a picture of the track. I want to know the trail up to it, the experiences over the weekend, because there's so much that you can glean from the experiences. Like you said, you know, I could stay here for 30 minutes and tell you about that weekend. Pat knows it terrifies the far out of me. That was the first time I'd been back in the woods by myself since my sighting in 2016.
Right.
And once again, I go out by myself, and then here they come being silly. And I wasn't by myself. I mean, my dad was 100 yards away, but 100 yards don't mean nothing to these guys. These guys can get within 10 feet of you, and you're not even know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Very true. Over in Paris, Texas, I led and helped a expedition for a group I'm not going to mention because I don't trust them anymore. We were out there and we were doing an investigation around a lake, and instead of hearing that, hey, the here roll call thing, we got a hey out in the woods. Nobody's out there. All you get is a hey, and then a tornado touched down, and we had logs being thrown at us and rocks being thrown at us. One team that was out there actually cornered a female with a child, and I said that was the worst thing you could have done because the teams started getting paralleled by large numbers.
Does the name Lake Pat Mays bring up?
Yes, sir. That's it. That's it. The old Army base.
Yeah, we need to we need to touch base after this because I've got a feeling a lot of the same stuff we know.
See if Ashley can give you my number.
Huh?
See if Ashley can give you my number.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because we're always looking for local groups. I've got, matter of fact, I've got a real good research affiliate in Arkansas, not too far from you. That's
really.
He's a younger gentleman.
I'm waiting to have surgery on my foot.
That's what I heard.
And once I have the surgery, I'm back in the saddle again. I actually got to meet Jason and Grant from Ghost Hunters.
Oh yeah.
And it's funny is you're the one I showed the ghost baby picture to, weren't you? One of the people?
I think so.
Or did Ashley not show you? Everybody disappeared. Where'd they go?
I think Ashley showed me. Yeah.
So what do you think of that? What was your opinion?
I'm gonna be honest with you, and now when we start talking spiritual phenomenon, I'm on a whole different classification than I am on Sasquatch. I go by first impressions and impressionistics, and that photograph creeped me the heck out.
And guess what I got? Guess what? One of the tools was that I used to catch that. A dog.
Oh yeah. You want to see my research partner?
You mean business. When that finger comes up.
Well, at least it's not the middle one.
Hey, come here. You want to see my main?
I already done flown the middle one earlier.
Scout.
Come here, Angel. Come here.
Come here. Right here is my main research partner.
Come here.
He is, and you'll see videos if you ever follow our channel of how highly trained he is. He's got multiple certifications. I mean,
wow.
Tracking, search and rescue, attack.
This is one of our.
Oh yeah. Well, you've got a very good asset. A very good point. If you take a dog with you, they have a lot better senses. They have a more in tune with nature, fight or flight. They have, if a person will pay attention to their dog, it's far safer. If I go by myself, he's with me. I
took my one dog when I was younger, and I was starting out doing the animal retrieval stuff. I took a big old Rottweiler with me because I figured he'd be muscle and, he'd have my back. That thing came charging at me. My dog was nowhere to be seen.
Tell me.
We just went straight up Animal Planet right here.
Wait, let me go break out the snakes.
You start breaking out the snakes, and I'm going to Texas because I
Hey, I used to live in Texas.
go to mama.
One of my daughters is in Texas. Well, two of my daughters are in Texas.
I will be right back. I've got to go let that dog out right quick.
All right. But, I find it, go ahead. I find it funny, you were talking about different things that we should do, to help teach people. I think
Yeah.
I think education on how to tell the difference on snakes.
Oh, well, yeah, too. That you definitely need to know your poisonous versus non-poisonous. One thing makes safely all around. You see a snake, just stay away from it.
Don't do like me.
No. Or like me, because I will sit there and pin its head and pick it up and throw it further away from me.
So you're the first one to get bit. You lost sick. Oh, hello? Uh-oh. Everybody left me. Oh, well.
You're okay. You'll survive without us.
I know. I'm like, well, son of a biscuit.
Look around. The Brady Bunch is gone.
You thought I was going to say something else, didn't you? And you see Angel's back at it again.
This one is aimed at you there, Snake Man.
I didn't do it, I swear. Ball pythons. I did have an 11.5-foot red-tail boa that ate a chihuahua after before I could capture her. And I kept her, and I was working with her, and I got her to stand up and look me in the eye outside. And that's how I ended up getting the nickname Snake Man, because everybody said I put that thing in a trance.
That's almost sounds to me like we could go straight from that subject and that story to demon possession.
What are you saying? I'm a demon?
No, there was one in the damn snake. If a snake ever stands up on me, I'm sorry, but the machete is coming out. Getting...
My daughter said it was sort of Beastmasterish,
If it ain't a cobra and it doesn't come up just so high.
I've dealt with a cobra, and I've dealt with a green anaconda in Paris, Texas. One of the calls I got called out for by the police department was a green anaconda chasing a 3-year-old child around an apartment with no parents in the house.
Oh my God. Okay, first thing, shoot the parents. Save the kid, and then get rid of the snake.
Well, the dad was in jail, so he had no way to get there, but the mother took off to go do something on her own and left the snake there in an enclosure that was 3 times its size, smaller. And the snake was over 6 foot. It may not have eaten the child, but it could have killed the child.
Very easily.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Squeeze the hell out of it.
The cops did not want to do nothing, even after the chief had told them, do whatever the snake man says. If he needs help, jump in. They just stood there. Magilla Gorilla stood there and didn't do nothing, just watched laps,
Magilla Gorilla, I love it.
And I actually had to dive on top of the thing, hold it down, and keep it away from the child while the other officer scooped up the child and took the child out.
I wouldn't have used a machete or a rifle or shotgun. I called him nuclear parasol.
You just want to take my job away from me, don't you?
There would have been the fire trail left from you taking off running. It would have gone, ow.
Snake Man, you being into the crypto stuff and snakes, do you know a biologist by the name of Dan Nadrelio?
Sounds familiar. He's
a herpetologist out of Wisconsin now. He's either Wisconsin or Minnesota. He just moved not long ago. Great man, great wealth of knowledge. He's been in the Bigfoot community for 40 plus years.
The herpetologist that I did my tutelage under was Okefenokee Joe in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And Ashley, you may have heard of him.
Yeah, I have.
He used
Wait,
to
say it
inject
again?
himself.
Okefenokee Joe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Matter of fact, he just passed away like 5 years ago,
Yeah.
6 years ago.
Yeah. He used to inject himself with the venom, thinking that it would make him immune to the snake bite.
Yeah.
And my first ever call, I think, was a black mamba that was owned by a doctor in Florida.
Wow.
Wow.
And the
That's a big
mamba
no
helped.
for me.
Yeah, the snake was holding on to him when they were able to get it to the hospital. I had to be right there to keep it enclosed and be ready to grab it in the ambulance while they were working on him.
That's the black and the green is the fastest snake on the planet.
Well, me and this thing went toe to toe. When we got there, they put him in a what I call the stall, and I put the plexiglass all around it, just in case it got dropped off and didn't want to go visiting other people in the ER, And I was able to, pin him down and use the snake hook to pick him up and get him into a container to hold him. He still kept him. Apparently, he had just fed the snake and forgot to latch it before he left to go to work.
That's intelligent.
He was getting ready for work, and the thing hit him right in the thigh.
My first wife is from Peru, so and in the military. I met her in the military, but spent a lot of time in South America. My closest brush with one of my closest brushes with going over to the Ever after I got hit by taipan right here.
Oh, those things are mean.
Luckily, at that time we was fairly close, and they had the blanket, what I've always called the blanket anti-venoms, with all the known snakes. I think they said they hit me with like 4 vials. I don't know how many cc's per vial, and I was like 6 weeks in the hospital because it literally and that's what people don't understand is it does damage because it's a necropathy, but the nervous system, I was literally full cardiac arrest because it was so close to my heart and everything.
Yes,
within 34 seconds.
They have a new anti-venom out now, which it's got a plant extract, believe it or not, that regrows tissue.
Yeah,
it regrows the tissue that's eaten by the venom.
The necropathy.
Yeah. And what's funny about it is that's what I do for a living. Is I catch the snakes that are used for that. I measure them, weigh them, milk them. And save a lot of lives that way, but nobody really sees it, If people could actually just watch and see what goes on, what a herpetologist really does, they put their lives on the line to get these animals, to get the venom, to make the anti-venom that saves your life or your kid's life.
Well, even outside of that, I mean, my gosh, just like living in Texas, the rattlesnake roundup. I used to love going to that. That was freaking awesome. And then, when you're watching them handling them and they are measuring them and then they're milking them and they're explaining to you why they're milking them and what that is doing and what's going to help. And it being Texas, that's why they round them up every year and they let them go again because there's going to be somebody, so many bites per year and they're going to need that antivenom. So
what about that darn fool that sits in the tub with all them rattlers laying on him, under him, around him?
No. I mean, I'm not afraid of snakes. I'm cautious of them, but I ain't stupid either. I ain't going to sit there and let me say hi.
Like I tell my grandkids, you treat every animal with respect.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, see, what now?
I was saying I'm afraid of only 4 kinds of snakes: big ones, little ones, alive ones, and dead ones.
What about fake ones?
Those two. Man, there can be a rope laying in the yard, and I'll see it 20 yards away. And by the time this fat boy slows down, I'm 100 yards.
Well, see, I don't just deal with snakes, and I don't deal with just animals and stuff like that. I deal with alligators, crocodiles, caimans.
Now, I can deal with caimans and crocodiles and alligators. I've done a little bit of that in Florida, but snakes, no. Nope.
Born and raised South Florida. My grandmother owned the gator farm in St. Augustine.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of in my blood.
Yeah.
And what's funny is the Sasquatch encounters I've dealt with have been in Florida, St. Augustine. Some of the best paranormal spots I've seen are in St. Augustine, believe it or not.
I'm glad you brought that up, because we had a comment on a question about the smells of Sasquatch.
Mm-hmm.
And you being from that Florida area, what's your views on, of course, we all know that they're in the water so much. I think that would, because I've never personally had a smell. I've been in the general vicinity of one many a times. Well, I say many. We've literally been in the same woods with them, probably 30 or 40, but I've been within, and I've never 4 or 5 times within that I know of with them within 20 or 30 yards. And I've never had the smell, but you do get a very common occurrence in Florida with the skunk ape.
Yeah. Well, see, I've been in the woods with them so much. If you use the outhouse, they hand you the toilet paper. Let's see, the smell would be kind of like a cross between a wet dog, swamp gas, and rotting vegetation.
So pretty much, if they was spending enough time in the water with the hair all over them, that it would be a microbiological smell.
Yeah,
you're talking about strictly in Florida
or anywhere.
I'm because I want to imagine, or say I imagine that the reason why Sasquatch down in Florida is called the skunk ape, because of being wet so much.
That's what I was wondering.
And and having those on there. I've smelled without seeing, and I've seen without smelling, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
To me, like it when it first hits you, it hits your gag reflexes too. It's rather pungent.
See, I've never.
No,
it'll wrinkle your nose. That's for sure.
Yeah, because it's like I don't know if it's a defense mechanism, if it's just how they smell, or if they can turn it on, turn it off, whatever it may be.
That's what's going to be my next question, is what y'all's thoughts on it, because being a naturalist like I am, if they had that that smell all the time, they'd have a hard time getting around prey. That's the reason I've always wondered if it was not a pheromonal excretion.
Yeah. Well, think about this for a second. You know how when you eat garlic, it secretes out your skin, right? Out
your sweat glands, yeah, or drink a lot of alcohol.
Okay, think about this.
Drunk the night before.
What if they secrete this because of food that they eat, like vegetation, like swamp cabbage?
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with it. And I was just wondering what y'all's thoughts on it would be. I mean, even, have you ever been around, well, y'all been around dogs. What happens when you change your dog's food and you up their protein count from like 16% to 20%? The next 2 or 3 days, if they pass gas, a Chihuahua will run you out of the
Oh, yeah. That's Milo. That dude can be across the room and I want to go outside.
That's like Dakota and Angel here. Oh my God! Don't light a cigarette because you may go up in a flame. But
I threw Amanda's up there, and she says so sewage-like smell.
Right.
I would say yes, because it does. There's been times I've not only from what I've smelled, but I've heard as far as descriptions, sulfur. the raw vegetation, raw sewage, urine,
Mhm.
like just a
Mhm.
real sweaty, stinky kind of smell.
Mhm.
The wet dog, so many different things that uh
Mhm.
I didn't mean to put that one
Mhm.
up there, Amanda. The drunken smell the morning after. Yeah, you sweat out that whiskey. But like yeah, I've got a lot of experience with that. But I think it varies. I think it varies from each individual squatch.
Well, and I'm sure it could even vary for time differentiation and diet differentiation and different areas and different there's a lot of
Yeah.
factors there, but once again I've always wondered if it could be because the commonality with the skunk ape is, and that's any of them that's in a swampy area, even the Honey Island swamp monster. I had the great opportunity of interviewing Miss Dana Hollyfield and the granddaughter of Mr. Ford, that actually filmed the Honey Island swamp monster. And we had a real in-depth conversation, and a great lady, by the way. If you can ever get her on your show, or talk to her, she's a wealth of knowledge. But and that's a commonality with even the Falk monster, Falk, Louisiana, or Falk, Arkansas. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of swamps there. Of course, we research down there quite a bit, but that's a commonality with the swamp variation, or the geographical swamp variation of the target species, is that wet doggish smell. Now, here in Oklahoma, I've smelt the sulfur smell, and I think I've tracked it down. We have some natural springs in central Oklahoma called Sulphur Springs, and they have sulfur water. Multiple reports of them swimming around.
Artesian wells?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Multiple reports of them swimming and being around that area, and I think it's so they can get lice and stuff off of them. Oklahoma is known for oil field. I've had multiple reports of them laying up underneath and rubbing the oil derricks and the oil tanks. And hogs will do that too. They'll rub up against and get that oil on them to. And even in ancient cultures like our First Nations talk about the stone giants. How they would roll in mud and then roll in stone. Well, I think they would use the mud also to help keep them cool. So that would make it a variance in their smell. But I've always wondered what y'all, I always ask people what their thoughts is on the smell, because I've heard that where you walk into a wall and
it appears it's just like you could be smelling roses the whole way, and then all of a sudden, bam! It's like, what in God's name? And it's not like you're walking along and there's a carcass somewhere around, because you could stop in that one spot and be sitting there going, what is that? And then as soon as it came, it's gone. And you're just like, and it's not like it could be on a zero wind, no breeze whatsoever, completely still day. And it appears and it'll go away. It's like it pops up out of nowhere.
I've heard two theories on that. One of them was the whole multi-dimensional portal, when you walk through a portal, the hellfire and brimstone. And then I've also heard, and I'm always wondering, because I do know that it is documentable, Snake Man, with you being into the animals like you are, infrasound. Okay, infrasound, if they blast you, it can actually change your olfactory systems and your your perception of that. And I've always kind of wondered, if maybe that might have something, because with it doing the snap in and the snap out, I've always wondered if the infrasound might have something to do with that, because we do know lions and whales and even elephants use infrasound, and they're doing a study now thinking that even giraffes use a form of infrasound. And these things definitely have the mass. I mean, they.
Yeah, because this sorry, I'm fumbling. The Dyatlov 9. Y'all know who those are, right? The
That's
9
a whole
Russian.
different subject, sis.
Do what?
That's a whole different subject. That's been totally disproven.
Well, no, the reason why.
What was it?
The Dyatlov 9. Yeah, it's a 9 Well, there were 10.
in 1965 in Dyatlov
No,
Pass in Russia.
59. It was
59.
59.
Oh yeah. I remember
And
that.
they tongues ripped out,
Yeah.
body, skulls crushed, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I wish
But-
Pat was here. That's Pat's area. He loves that.
Yeah.
Did you see the picture that they showed on that they took from one of the students' cameras?
I've seen so many, I can't remember. But
Well,
I just
yeah,
remember like one of the more recent shows
Mhm.
that I watched on it for all the different theories that it went through was that infrasound. That the way the wind can come down those hills, that it vibrates off the ground, and they think that, or that was one of, the theories, was that it messed with their heads while they were laying there trying to sleep, and they just basically lost it, ripped their way out of the tent. They might have been throwing their clothes off as they went, trying to kill each other, and that's how skulls got
We
crushed.
do know
Whatever.
what one of the first signs of hypothermia is, correct? Right?
Delusional.
What else?
You're cold.
It's called
Delusional.
There's a fancy word for it, but it's pretty much you think that you're hot when you're actually cold.
Yeah, thank you. That's
And they
it.
start
It's
taking their clothes
the hydro.
I don't know the actual word. Like I said, we need
I know
Pat
it's
here.
psychological.
Pat's into that. He actually, I did a show with Pat on the Dyatlov Pass, and he had a lot of information on that. But they've just
Where'd he
about
go?
he had some personal stuff he's gonna do with his fiance tonight. But they've
Surprised she
almost
didn't pop on to say hi. She usually does.
they've almost disproven the Alma or the amnesty theory with the Dyatlov Pass. The last I heard, they're leaning towards, like you said, the hypothermia. And that picture, the thing with that picture that you was talking about is very intriguing.
Yeah, you see a Yeti standing there.
Literally, yeah. And that makes me
was
wonder.
the first one that I saw, and I remember is we were playing with names, and this you make me think about this. Josh Gates,
Yes.
whether it was on
yes.
Expedition, I know he did it. He visited it and investigated it for his new
Yes.
show, Expedition Unknown. But I think he did it also on Destination
X.
Truth a long time ago.
Well,
and
he
that's
did it
when
with
they
Expedition X. Yeah.
well, with Destination Truth,
Yes.
when he did it there, that was when they were actually investigating it as a
Yeah.
Yeti. And it was that little town that you have to pass through and basically get those people's permission to keep going on, because they're supposed to be the protectors of whatever the beast is. The Mangake, I can't remember. Starts with an M,
Mhm.
but it's their word, or what
Megate.
they call this.
The Meg people is the name of the tribe.
But-
and then they called it the Megag or something like that. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty much an Alma or an amnesty is what they.
yeah, and so
Right.
they're very protective of it, and they don't want to piss it off and have it come down to the village and ransack it. So they're very picky about who they let pass through. Josh basically had to the Manx. Somebody's saying the Manx. It might be. I can't remember.
Matter of fact,
right
I think the people's name was the Manx, and then they called it the Meg or something like that.
Yeah. I think it was. I think it was a Meg.
Well, you know what? I got Google right here in front of me. I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't feel like typing on my phone. I'd be sitting there like, saying it in there like, "Hey, Google." But yeah, I mean, it's they've gone from the paranormal. One theory is also UFO because of the output of radiation that they found just in that area. So it's like they're putting out that it couldn't have been a military mishap because it's just a concentrated area of where they're finding this radiation.
Well,
And okay, Manx.
what I was
It
thinking
is
was
Manx.
Okay, the
When-
people is the Mansi, Mansie, and the what they're calling their word for the creature is the Manx, MANXE.
mhm. You were talking
Okay,
about
they've
that.
got MANX, so that's yeah. What, Amanda? She just typed my name in the comments. Okay.
You know what's funny though is that you were talking about military stuff. They did say something about that. They think it was something due to the testing of new missiles, that maybe the military had something to do with their.
It's one theory because supposedly the military got there long before the bodies were found, before the searchers that were, the search party actually found them, but left. Tag me on my own show. Cool deal. But yeah, it's always been a fascinating story because that's one hell of a mystery. I mean, it'll drive you crazy with all the possibilities, and because there's so much unknown. I mean, hell, for all we know, it could have been banshees in the forest.
Okay, time to call Scooby-Doo in.
That's what I'm screaming. Hey, I almost wanted to call this show the Mystery Machine. I ain't gonna lie. I had my little Scooby-Doo sitting over my shoulder, wear my Scooby Natural shirts, and
Right. Oh Lord.
Yeah, buddy.
We ain't right, that's for sure. I
mean, if you didn't grow up watching a cartoon with a womanizer, a whore, a lesbian, a pot-smoking hippie, and a talking dog, you didn't grow up right.
In an awesome van.
Of course,
I was really the van and the dog. The rest of them I wasn't too keyed up about, but yeah.
You know what though? What's your take on the situation with what I had happen to me? Why would you think something like that would follow me out of the woods?
You talking about Sasquatch?
Yeah, that close.
That's a common occurrence. They escort literally will follow you out of their territory. It happened to me. It happened to me 2 times.
That's like when I was talking about my experience at the boot camp.
Yeah.
We were no longer throwing rocks. I never threw a rock. I'm not that stupid. My shift partner was the one that was doing it. And we were just basically kind of looking, and all of a sudden we see more eye shine, and it pops up and then starts running in to chase us. And I mean, it was getting us out of his area. As far as he was concerned, that was his crater.
Let me throw practicality at you. I am a semi-intelligent, cognitive thought being that survives in the forest with a family unit. They have to have families to reproduce. I am a big alpha male, and I have a family, and I have a territory to defend. I know using cognitive thought that if I kill one of you, more is going to come in to look for you. We discussed that earlier.
Yeah. So
if I can intimidate you enough and scare you enough to run you out of here, I mean, really, being in the military in the area that I was trained in guerrilla warfare. Vietnam, they wrote the book of intimidation and psychological. If I scare you enough, you're going to go tell other people. I mean, this is just what's running my head. Other people ain't going to come out.
Well, I mean, if you stop and think about it, that's basically what us humans do. Somebody comes on our property that we don't know what the hell they're doing, why they're trying to approach us, and family's home, whatever it may be. You damn Skippy. My trigger happy ass is going to be walking out there with one gun in each hand and walking through my property, escorting them off into the middle of the road and saying, I wouldn't even come on my street again if you want to, live with the same amount of holes God gave you.
Note to self, don't come visit Ashley without calling first.
Oh, just wait. You think I'm dead? Wait until I get Joyce on the show. She is trigger happy. I'm talking, she'll shoot your toes off.
I do have to answer Amanda.
With her if she's locked and loaded.
Amanda said something. Do y'all think the smell could vary from male to female? Just look at the differences in humans. Smell, male to female. You get female out there. With us teaching wilderness survival and stuff like this, my wife actually teaches classes on wilderness hygiene. We talk about hygiene, and it's very challenging for females. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but as y'all know, there is a big difference in the smell. I mean, I can even and here's a factor too that a lot of people don't understand. our noses, as time goes, because we're so obliterated by, literally our noses are obliterated by all these chemical smells, and everything we do are not that keen. I keep my nose, we do I don't want to get into that. Long story short, we are very grounded in my life. We don't
You
have
keep
any
your nose
chemicals.
where?
No, what I'm saying is we have
Why
no
is
chemicals.
it brown?
We have no chemicals in the house. We clean with bleach and vinegar. We no perfumes. My wife is. We don't. Not that she's not allowed. She chooses not to. We don't wear any perfumes. We're very mild deodorant. We use biodegradable soaps. But anyways, make a long story short, our noses are a little bit more keen than most people. Well, you take these animals that spin out in the woods so much, we literally smell as bad to them as they would to us, because they could smell our chemicals. Somebody that smokes, I never noticed it until I quit smoking. I can smell somebody that smokes over 50 yards away. I've proven it more than once.
Mm-hmm.
And you think of how they are, so what would be there you go. Even the dipping. Yeah. What would be atrocious to us would not be to them. The pheromonal therapy. How many reports have y'all taken in y'all's career or heard of male Sasquatches looking in the windows of young females? There's a reason for this, folks, and it's usually the girls are usually anywhere from 13 to 17 years of age. There's a reason for this. They're
breeding age.
Absolutely, for lack of better terms. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean to sound weird about it, but that's just a logical assumption.
It's a biological fact.
I mean, granted, as Gary and I discussed last night, we are human beings. We're the oddballs when it comes to the primate family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everything else, you get your monkeys, your gorillas, your chimpanzees, apes, whatever, you've got all that heading down. And when people that have had Sasquatch DNA analyzed, it comes back unknown primate. You do us, we ain't got no primate in us.
I don't want a primate in me.
We do.
Hey, you are the animal guy.
I mean, I'm not a DNA specialist, but every being on this, I mean, we hold the same genetic code up to 95% or 96% with a chimpanzee. But you know how much of an alteration that is? 5% DNA. I mean, that's an area that I don't get into because I don't know enough about it. I know tracking and smelling and
Right.
chasing through the woods, but
I'll let you explain this one, Gary, to Amanda.
Sasquatches are primates. That is one of the hottest debates on this planet right now.
That's why I'm letting you take it.
Technically, we are primates. I mean, if you look at the
fun.
biological direction, go ahead, Snake Man.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, have fun explaining this one.
I mean, there's two common well, there's more than two common beliefs. I mean, some people think they're aliens, some people think they're biodimensional creatures and stuff. But technically, even humans are classified as primates. We are all part of the biological in the ape phenomenon. My personal belief is these are something in between. I think that they're the thing that I seen literally had cognitive thought, and the behaviors that I've seen over the years, they are. But even chimpanzees and orangutans show very uncommon. I'm telling you what, if you ever lock eyes with a young male chimpanzee that's pissed off at you, it's a eerie sight. It's a scary sight.
Not just the rhesus monkeys. You ever seen one of them? You never make eye. They may be about like this big or whatever.
Yeah.
You make eye contact with those, and they're like, "I'll kill you, motherfucker."
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I'm talking, dude. You're a banana.
But some of the posts I've been on, like even Okinawa and places like that on post, it's funny, or even in the Philippines, like Manila, you on post, you'll have monkeys all over the place, and they're like little gangs of hoodlums, man. They'll rip you to pieces. And then it's funny, you get off post and you don't see a one of them. Why? Because the folks are eating them. But a band of monkeys will tear your butt up.
Snake Man, wasn't it in Florida, the woman that owned it, a chimpanzee, and it ripped her face off and wound up killing her?
Yeah.
It was, because I think it happened when I lived there.
There was also a laboratory that's attached to a hospital that had an excessive amount of primates that they were using for AIDS testing that got loose. And they're still loose to this day.
Yep. Well, look at the monkey
Oh.
farm in South Texas.
See, well, what's funny though is y'all remember Project X, the movie. What did they do with them when they released them out into the swamp where there was a supposed crash, you know? And then you turn around and look at it, and there are apes in the swamps in Florida. I
Yeah,
mean,
there are.
I've actually seen a wild ape
Give you an
while
idea.
kayaking.
Y'all ever watch that old show on PBS and Discovery, Escape to Chimp Island?
No.
They're over in
Is
South,
that the one that? Well, no, I've seen is the orangutan island.
or is it Escape to Chimp Eden?
I don't know. I know there's one
Anyway.
that's a specific orangutan island where they breed them because
No,
of
no,
their.
No, wait.
This
That's
is
Planet of the Apes.
this is a government shelter for chimpanzees that are picked up throughout South Africa. Two gentlemen run it. The main point that I'm getting at is they will literally go to different areas and pick up privately owned chimpanzees and release them into a natural habitat. One of the gentlemen has ran this thing for 35 years. Picked up a juvenile chimp, young adolescent female chimp when she was a baby. That was one of his best. Chimp Eden, thank you, Amanda, was one of his best friends for 30 plus years, because everybody knows chimpanzees can live to their 70.
Mhm.
She was best friends with him. One day she decided she wanted his pack of cigarettes. He smoked. And he didn't give it to her. She got mad, bit all 3 fingers off in one bite. And from that moment on, hated his guts. She would try to kill him every time he stepped in the room.
I know
And-
they've got some extraordinary
yeah.
strength, and
Yes.
you know, not just
Oh,
in their
yeah.
bites, but I mean they are just they're solid muscle.
The average male chimp at 80 to 95 pounds is 5 times stronger than a human being.
I don't. Yeah, I know. I've heard that, but just I'll say this to Amanda real quick. I don't know. I can't remember how I worded it, but when in the world of Sasquatching, when people find hair or something like that they believe to be that of a Sasquatch and turn it into a laboratory for DNA testing, some of them have come back with inconclusive this, inconclusive that, but then there is what they call it is unknown primate.
Yeah.
So
99%.
it's like it shows that it's somewhere along the lines of human, ape, something like that, but it just says because like he said, we are kind of considered primates, but we've got that whole different DNA build. But it's that, I mean, that's what I meant by, they don't know what to call it. They just know that it does line up somewhere along the way of the DNA of the way a person would show and the way a kind of ape or primate would. So could it be a human ape mix? It's a big debate. They like what Gary and Snake Man were discussing about the possibility of picking females for around the age of breeding, but this is I've given it a lot of thought myself. This is my theory. These are God created creatures. It's just like when Adam and Eve, and then all the other animals, they went 2 by 2 on the ark, this and that. If you go back in the Bible, and people like, okay, why wouldn't he mention a Sasquatch or something? If it's not classified, if by God's means, if it's not classified as an animal, and it's more human, the way I see it is back then you had giants, and then you also had Esau, who was born covered in fur like a or covered in red hair like a sackcloth. So his whole body from head to toe was pretty much red hair. And if you can have things like that, me as a Christian, I believe in the Word of God. So that is what makes sense to me of how there could possibly be Sasquatch out there. And no, they aren't all red hair. Got red, brown, white, black. I have yet to see a
Albino.
purple one. Yep. I did say white. I mean, I didn't go for the albino, but we got the Alabama white thing here. But
let's not be racist now.
All right, jackass. I knew you were going to go there. My goodness.
That would be a whole other show, the history of the interaction of man and Sasquatch and the being, because there's so many different theories, so many different ideas and things going out there. But it really comes right down to it. If you want to talk the Bible, it says God destroyed every creature on the face of the earth, but yet he talks later after they released that Noah's children went out and bred. I mean, literally, I'll have to pull it up, but it literally went out and what they do have incest. I understand that some of them had wives, but biologically, I mean, if how we was talking about that catalyst that changed us as man, Ashley, that could be the catalyst.
Yeah. Because, I mean, in going all the way back to the beginning,
I honestly don't know.
He created Adam and Eve. They had Cain and Abel, but you don't hear about them having daughters for Cain and Abel, too.
Absolutely. There's too many discrepancies there.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to get, because we will offend a lot of people if I get into that. That's for probably private ears.
I don't know nothing about the Bible, but, my grandmother always believed that Sasquatches know and they could sense people that are Native American or Native American heritage.
Absolutely.
Yes. I believe that's why Big Red. Yeah, I believe I named mine out at the juvenile boot camp Big Red. And he was pretty much like he became a protector to me, because I could literally just sit down and feel the vibes and let him feel me. Not let him feel me, but let him feel my vibe. And then there would, there'd be nights when, somebody, I was never supposed to be alone, because it was a boys' juvenile boot camp and I was a female corrections officer. Right. I was always supposed to have a male shift partner with me.
Right.
Shit happens, man. They call in sick. I'd get left alone, but I would always notice that when I was left alone, the next day I'd go out, or if I did like a quick little peek, or just stepped outside where I kept the door in view and whatnot, I'd notice, I'd hear twig snaps or something like that. And there was even one night, like right there behind my window, there was an 8-foot, relatively 8-foot circumference, where it looked like a huge deer had bedded down. It was all the vegetation was just pushed down in a perfect, circle, like a deer bed. But it was 8 feet. I'm sorry, but if that was a deer, I'm gonna be awfully pissed off that I didn't get to shoot that one.
I will guarantee you this, and I can bring multiple witnesses on here to talk about it. We literally found about the same thing, but I had some experiences back in 2015 at our property, and my wife had set up a latrine up in the niche of a brush pile, and we literally got ran out of there that night. But when we came back, me and my dad went down to evaluate the place. On the opposite side of the brush pile, that brush pile is about 10 feet tall, was a big wore down area, and you could literally see where the brush pile had been pushed down. That owner rascal was standing back there watching, and I guarantee you sniffing my wife using the restroom. Too many reports I've taken with that behavior, especially up north. It is a real fact, folks. If you don't want to acknowledge it, I'm sorry. I'm going to, because I've seen it personally. It's a biological fact. It's just like a woman. with a stud horse. If a woman is coming, anybody that knows horses, if you're coming into your menstrual cycle, stay the bloody hell away from a big stud horse.
My best friend almost got mounted by one of my boyfriend's studs. It was hilarious. And I mean, he was huge. His girth was so big, when riding him, you were like literally bow leg. I'm talking just. Phew.
What is the stimulus with the horse?
The what?
What is the stimulus with that horse? What makes him do that?
He smelt her. He smelt what was going on. He smelt her little change in life.
You don't think a big overgrown ape running around in the woods that can smell, you don't think he's not horny? I mean, I'm sorry, folks.
Look, I'm gonna throw something up there because this is going to be interesting. We can, all three of us. I want to.
It's been done. I mean,
go around.
It's been done. It's just people don't want to. They want to rip it apart,
And they're very inconclusive. They're decent shots, the ones that I've seen, but at the same time, it's not so definitive that you can definitely say there it exists. I've got one right there.
Amanda, let me throw something at you. If I was to come in your house, sit down in your living room table, and move your coffee table, or sit down in your living room and move your coffee table, say 6 inches, would you notice it? If I was to come in your house and move your pots and pans around, would you notice it? Yes, you would. When we step into the woods, we're stepping into their home. They literally, because of generational factions with the humans, we destroy everything we touch. These things don't want nothing to do with us. When we step into the woods, they're watching us. I don't care what anybody says. I'll be blunt. When you step into the woods, the structure of the organizational factor behind these, they will watch you. That's the reason they're called the Watchers. They know where them cameras are. I've seen too many shots where you see a hand coming around from the back side of the tree, grabbing the. I've literally had game cameras spun around. A deer might do it, and a bear might do it, but they'd leave some kind of marks with their antlers or their teeth or claws or something.
Amanda, type me a little comment if I can go ahead and fill them in as to why you're asking this question. And I will also say, adding to that, there's a very strong belief that Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever however you want to refer to them, they are very in tune with EVPs, any kind of electromagnetic field.
Well, let me throw something else at you. What if I told you they can see
electronic voice phenomenon, not EMPs, electromagnetic. Somebody take the words and just
electromagnetic.
Thank you. Field.
Well, let me throw something else at you too. What if I told you that they can see in an infrared spectrum?
Yes,
my dog can see an infrared light.
Yeah. Okay. The reason
the infrared light.
That's the reason why she's asking. It's her property that I'm gonna be going over and checking out. Her husband doesn't want me over there to scare off any deer right now, so I gotta wait till after hunting season. But something has been setting off her game camera. And there's nothing on there. There have been 3 actual things that you could see on 2 different pictures. One is the eye shine I was talking about, where you see just the one eye. And as for the height off the ground, I'm assuming deer, because it's just that one from that side. She has a second one that's just like that, where you see it there, and then you see a smaller eye shine closer to the ground. First, I was thinking hog, but then you can actually zoom in because it is closer, and you see the shape of a raccoon. But then, I scrutinized every picture that she sent me where something was triggering the camera, but I could not find anything.
Let me throw something at you.
Fine-tooth comb.
You know that 90% of these trail cameras that we buy are about $50 to $100. They have no aperture adjustment. They have no speed adjustment. Mm-hmm. So anything that moves is going to be blurry. And if it moves past a certain speed, it ain't going to catch it up at all. half of these game cameras that we got have almost a 3/4 to a 3 second lag from the time that the stimulus hits to the time it clicks.
Yeah.
The reason I
And
know this, yeah.
she's also said they have heard strange noises that that's why she's been asking these questions about the howls, the sounds, the
Yeah.
whoops, what they make, and the smell, because she has said that they've been hearing. Her husband's an avid hunter, so he same kind of thing that I went through, where it's like, okay, I know my animal sounds, and that's not an animal sound. That's kind of what they're going through right now. They don't know what it is that they're hearing. And not only is it triggering the game cam, and it's doing multiple picks at a time, but also in that area, there's no piping anywhere around, no runoff, no houses, nothing. That raw sewage smell pops up out of nowhere and then disappears.
Well, in answer to her question, I've been doing this game camera stuff and been doing the research about it for a long time. I've got 2 pictures that I'll send to y'all privately, and I'll send to her privately, and I'm not going to share them out until we get ready to release that show.
Yeah.
But I literally said I had something missing. I had a high dollar self-climbing tree stand because I'm a fat boy and I'm crippled up and I couldn't get up the tree. I set a camera on the tree where the stand is, above the tree stand. I set a trap camera. Key point. Of all things, I watched the movie The Predator, and it gave me this idea. I set a trap camera facing that tree so I could find out what was screwing with my stand. And I caught 2. And what's so funny is the way they're timed. One is moving this way in the shot, and one is moving this way because they're facing opposite directions. They both are in phase. They're both within the same time period. I literally caught from 2 different angles the same thing and got the same result.
Damn.
And I'll send that to y'all later tonight, or and we can send it to her. But
yeah, you don't have to worry about her sharing stuff. She, you could trust her. And what I just put up on the screen, this is my first time hearing of it. I did not notice or know that they've been finding broken trees. So
I'll tell you exactly why they're finding broken trees, because he's out there hunting. He's in their territory.
And I explained to her the other night why activity is more prominent in the winter months, because it's harder for them to hunt. They got to get out more. And, because you've got animals burrowing, you've got them hibernating, it's just like, you see more predators in the winter than you do during the summer, because it's not like there's, every critter's awake and running around it all the time. They're actually having to get out and go stir up more food, because it's not just sitting out there sunning like it would in the summer, spring, or fall. I mean, yes, activity does pick up in the fall, but it's more prominent in the winter months because of this.
Remember the rule of thumb, that's the rule of nature. Wherever there's prey, there'll be predators.
Amanda, when you post this, was the corn gone after it had been knocked over?
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, her husband's real outdoorsy. He's a hunter.
I
No.
put a camera.
So the corn was left behind?
I would be putting a camera on that feeder, wouldn't you, Gary?
I would, in all honesty, tell Clark to grab a couple more game cameras and put them from, at different angles. Same area.
Look at your messenger, Ashley.
I'm going to do it on my phone.
Another direction to put your camera that a lot of people don't think of is straight downward. If you can hang it overhead and aim downward, you can get a photo
over the deer
too.
feeder.
Mm-hmm. Because
sorry, I was like, wait, what the?
You see what I'm talking about? The 2 different angles, the same thing from 2 different shots.
Roughly how?
8.5 foot.
I was going to say it doesn't look like it looks like juvenile probably, or female maybe.
No, I thought you was talking distance. Yeah, it's probably 5 or 6 foot tall.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
you could tell it's not that big, but I mean, you know,
You see how fast it's moving though?
that's the first thing that popped in my head. That not only is it a damn good shot, but also it's just the way it looks. In the speed that they have. The first thing that popped into my head was Spectre. I'm like, oh my god, that's like a fool.
We got
We
track.
just went from Bigfoot to supernatural or paranormal in a heartbeat.
I've got track.
Amanda, if you have any sound bites of the howl screams or whatnot, maybe you can share those with us and we can hear those.
That's what I told her. I told her she needs to get a digital recorder. I will be getting some more equipment here at the end of the month. Christmas kind of tapped me out for getting something for myself. So,
well, what'd you get us?
You're getting to see my face right now, sweetheart. Be blessed.
You hear this?
Is Amanda still listening? Yeah, Amanda, I'm fixing to send these to you.
Yeah. She says she has many multiple pictures of eye shines. I'm waiting for her to send me. I told her, look for the ones where you've got the two eyes, and it looks like, in a distance that they're, like a human, the eyes would be like this, but if you're looking in the distance, a Sasquatch would be more like this. The eyes are going to be like what would seem inches apart, and plus, unless it's squatting, it's going to be a lot higher up than maybe like just the height of where you're seeing the single eye shine of the deer.
Miss Ashley, this one stays for your eyes only.
Yes, sir.
For now. I can't take credit for that one, but I can take credit being in the same vicinity at the same time and having a lot of experiences. But a friend of mine took that. A game camera took that. Check your messenger.
Amanda, did you ever do you have even like an old cell phone that you could put outside that, just put it on record?
I'm actually trying to debunk this one.
I'm gonna have fun with this one.
I'm trying to debunk it, and I haven't been able to yet.
This one, I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna be doing with it, and this is what I did with the when people send me pictures, and anybody that's watching, feel free to join Central Alabama Bigfoot Research Organization. Advice, you want to run some evidence, questions, you need help, whatever it may be, everything is always kept confidential. And that's why, I asked Amanda's, she's one of my best friends, so I even asked her permission if I could tell you guys why she's asking these questions. I was asking about the recorder, or like a cell phone that you could put outside to get the audio recording of what y'all are hearing. But no, when I get sent things and people are like, I have no idea what this is, I don't just sit here, I don't look at it at my phone and sit there and play with the screen. I mean, I will do that. I do all sorts of things. I do that. I do it on my computer. I play with the pixelation. I play with, light, dark, spectrum, all that. And then it gets plugged into my big screen TV that I can really sit there and look at it and look at details and try to scrub out stuff. So that's why she sent me like so many pictures, and it took me forever to really go through them. It took me like, I think 4 days to get back to her with an answer. And, I told her that was pretty much the only thing that I could come up with, was that, she was getting eye shine from critters, but there had to be something that was setting it off. Oops.
Sorry, I'm so quiet. I'm over here brainstorming. You got me thinking about trying to debunk that one. And there's a certain set of footage that I've really been looking for, and I think I just found it.
There's a technique that I like to use whenever I can for video cameras and stuff like that. Is put a mirror. It's what they used to do in Africa and stuff when they would see how chimps reacted to their own face. You know, they put a camera up with the cameras aimed at it so that they could see what was going on. Why couldn't you use the same thing for filming of Sasquatch?
I don't know why you couldn't. Now run that by me again. What you was talking about doing?
Use a
Me?
mirror.
Or him.
It's been done
I know,
Texas.
but
on a certain farm.
yeah, I know. I was in Paris,
Was you involved in that?
probably.
How you doing? We know each other. You remember the young kid that used to come around there and fish in the pond and had the little beagle dog?
Yeah,
That was me.
I'm the guy that was court ordered, but well, not court ordered, requested by the court to come out there to make sure everybody stayed safe.
That's for private discussion.
We'll
Y'all
discuss
notice
it
how many
later.
secrets Gary's got?
That's for private discussion. That's my aunt and uncle, the property owners.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for private discussion.
Y'all are killing me.
It's a
Well,
small
we've
world
been running
after
2
all.
hours. Y'all want to shut this thing down or keep it going, or what do you want to do?
That's up to y'all. We could
Well,
we could either kill it, we could change to paranormal if y'all want, or we could save that for another night.
we can do that. We can do that.
I think we're at
I had a
216.
question for you. When I get my surgery and all that, any good recommended places for investigations, paranormal wise?
Paranormal?
For paranormal.
Once I get
God.
my surgery and I heal.
Yeah,
Well,
you want
you're not-
paranormal or cryptid?
I think he's more of a paranormal investigator.
How far are you from Decoin?
D Queen? Oh God. I'm over by Rogers and Fayetteville.
Decoin's got a little hotel there that was on what is it called? That old
Ghost Hunters?
was supposedly
Yeah. Tuberculosis Hospital.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Underground water.
There's
Yes.
Waverly Hills. I'm going one day. I'm
Never
going.
again. Never
I
again.
want to go.
Never
I
again.
will sit at the bottom of the body
Why?
chute, and I will chill out and talk to whatever wants to talk to me.
You hear Gary? He said never again.
Never
Never
again.
again.
Never
What
again.
happened? What happened, Gary?
What didn't happen would be the most. Actually, you remember me telling you a story about where we took all the balls and put in the nursery, and all of them started moving in different areas, and then the one rolled straight towards us.
There's also then I'll go ahead and give a shout out to this because it is by far the most entertaining paranormal show that I have ever watched, because you have one that is a diehard believer, one that is a total skeptic, and it's hilarious.
That's
it is
the one you sent me last night.
Yep, BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed Unsolved Paranormal, or you could go on YouTube and type in BuzzFeed Paranormal, and they've even got the show on Hulu. So if you just want to binge the whole thing and you got Hulu, get on there. I laugh so hard because it's like these guys are like two stooges ghost hunting.
They're so foul mouthed though.
They are. But it's It's hilarious. But yeah, a lot of places they've hit I want to go to. Definitely want to go, like I said, Waverly Hills. Want to hit up Stoltz Cemetery in Kansas. I want to go to that place
I
because that is supposedly an entrance to hell.
I want to investigate a few different places too, like the old fort in St. Augustine. Like
Yeah.
I was telling you, I want to investigate the Alamo, but they won't
Yep.
let no investigators there.
Yep.
Have you heard the rumors and reports of seeing orbs and full body apparitions outside the Alamo, inside
yeah.
the Alamo?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
There's a hotel across the street. I can't
Yeah.
think of the name of it. It's changed names, but it's well known.
What the hell? No, get over it. I will do it myself.
Right. I mean, they also have reports of hearing battle sounds like cannon fire, flashes of light, swords clashing, horses, stuff like that.
Well, I even told Gary last night, we were talking about Civil War places that, or places that are known to be haunted from the Civil War. And I said, shoot, you could drive straight up Highway 31 from between me and Decatur and look out on some of these battlefields. And I mean, it's mind blowing because it's almost like you're doing what people back in the day did, having a picnic watching a battle. Because you can see it happening out in the field and just all of a sudden it's gone. It's some weird
I was
shit.
telling Ashley about the I don't know if you've seen that footage or not of the guy that was checking out the old Civil War cannons, and he zoomed in and he saw a figure moving around the cannons, and it turned out it was some kind of a Civil War soldier checking his cannons before the next battle, like they would normally do.
Are you sure that's not something I was telling you about? Because that
no, I was telling you about it. I saw it on the what was that Most Haunted that they had on, and they were talking about it.
Well, I had an experience. We went and investigated Crooked Creek Battlefield and Civil War Museum.
You told me
right
about that.
Yeah, and there was, they had one of the is it ILS camera? The one that catches the little stick figures. I need to get one of those. But they had one, and there was this stick figure that was doing this weird motion around a cannon. And they were like, "What is it doing? What is it doing?" I looked. I said, "You guys, it's residual. He's loading the cannon, firing it, loading it again, firing it." Now, the only thing that was weird is here it was residual, but then I walked over onto the other side of the cannon from where this entity was, and I just put my hand out slowly to feel if there was a cold spot. I felt the cold spot, but it met me over the cannon, and they told me, they're watching on the screen, that when I did that, this figure literally kind of hesitated and leaned forward and like put his head under my hand, like, he wanted his head rubbed. And I was just like, that's pretty cool. But that's a very active place, very active, and and I love investigating there. We got a lot of haunted places here in Alabama. Sloss Furnace. You got always, if you want a good read and want to learn about it, you got the 13 Ghosts of Alabama. Gosh, I mean, there's so many places. You ask me that question or you say that, and it's like my mind just went, and I have a jumble. I've got word jumble going on in my head for the locations I want to go to. Are you trying to talk to us, Snake Man? Because you muted, buddy.
No, my wife was talking to me.
Okay. It looked like you were. And I've done
No,
that
but
tonight.
I want to.
Yes. I'm going to throw this on the screen right there because me and her have experienced this. You've got two witnesses somewhat in the same room. The place we both work, that's where we met. Very, very freaking active. I mean, you've got some Mean spirits. I'm so
Malevolent.
thank you.
Malevolent.
I'm so freaking tongue-tied tonight. I'm just about ready to whatever. Mean spirits. There's good ones, and then you've got the ones that like are there to put you into an insane asylum.
Oh, wow.
They love playing with the bed alarms. You'd have a resident that would not move, be in one spot, and their bed alarm would just like go crazy. And as soon as you went to touch it,
Mm-hmm.
it'd cut off. You'd make it all the way up to the end of the hall. It'd start again. You'd go through this all night.
I want to investigate the lighthouse in St. Augustine, the old fort in St. Augustine, a few other places in St. Augustine. You know, and just check all the neat stuff out. I also want to go and check out like the Alamo, like I said. But they won't allow you to investigate in there.
Well, that's just like I told you. I'd love for you to get in touch with Jason and Grant. I mean, I know they're doing 2 different shows right now, and they're not really working together. But one of them, get into Fort Adams in Newport, Rhode Island. It's been fixed up. It's been renovated so that people can actually walk through there. Because when I lived there, like I said, it was chained off. It was a $500 fine if you were caught inside.
Yeah, you lawbreaker, you.
Hey, I didn't say I went inside. You were supposed to keep that a secret, jackass.
I didn't say nothing. You just
Anyway. You see what he's doing to me, Gary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Are we boring you?
No, I'm on a mission.
Oh, okay.
Lord.
But yeah, I'd really love for them to, one of them or both of them, get together and go, now that it's been renovated and it is open to tours. And I mean, because there used to be rooms in there that did not have floors, and you would hear boots walking across them. You'd see shadow figures running across a tunnel. In mid-daylight, there's like a little outpost. And I was sitting down, the wooden steps had rotted away from the doorway, but I'm sitting up in the doorway. And this thing has to be about 30 feet tall. You'd have to be on the second floor, or, well, about 20 feet tall, I guess, because you'd have to be on the second floor of the fort to actually look out and see on top of it. But just sitting in the little doorway, I see this, like, silhouette that looked like a soldier pacing back and forth up on top of it. We thought the guys had followed us in and were messing with us, so we took off running. We go make our way through and get up to the second floor and look out, and there's nothing there. There's no way to get up there. There's no way to jump from the fort over to this thing. And, I mean, there's grass and shrubs and everything growing on top of it, and none of it's trampled. But we clearly saw this back and forth figure, this figure just pacing.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Taps did that. But this is for Gary. Gary, have you ever heard of Sam Bell Maxey?
Talking about in Texas?
Yeah.
Sam Bell what now?
Sam Bell Maxey. The Maxey House.
Oh, yeah. I don't know where it's at. Just
I do. I used to actually live a street in front of it. My sister used to live right directly across from it. We were sitting there on the porch watching shadows on the room where Maxie passed away.
Oh, yeah, I know where it is now. I know exactly where it is.
I've witnessed shadows and everything. They're actually talking to me a while back about okaying me to go in there and investigate it.
Didn't they just do a big restoration of that a couple of years ago?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, man, that's my home area. I mean, I'm from Hugo.
Oh well, I'm sorry.
Y'all are terrible.
I'm sorry. I'm from Florida, but I lived there for over 16 years.
Nice.
There's a lot of places there. What about the spaghetti factory that they talked about? And what was that other house that they were talking about? Booker House?
Yeah, the Booker House. Yeah, it's actually pretty well known too. It was on Weird Travels.
The best little whorehouse in Texas.
No, it's called the Booker House.
I figured Snake Man would enjoy that one because I'll let him tell you why.
Because of my uncle. Because of my uncle.
His uncle was in that movie. Might have
Are
heard
you
of him,
from-
Gary.
Have you ever heard of the Bandit?
I know who you're talking about. I know who you are.
He's been doing some research. Gary's scary like that.
Well, no,
He's like his own little man in black. He knows
let's
everything.
just say that me and this man's paths crossed way early in my research. And like I said, that's gonna be for private ears. I mean, that's a story in itself because we are under the same. Let's just say that we are no longer associated in that whole area because we're under the same impression. I guarantee you.
Have you ever heard? Let me ask you this, Gary. Are you familiar with a gentleman by the name of Tom Biscardi?
Don't even mention that name to me.
Okay, now that we're going there, I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast. Guys, of course, you know the room's open. We can stay in there and we can talk, but I'm sure that we don't want to run 3 hours of just bullshitting about who knew who
Well,
and
thank you,
who's an
guys.
asshole. But yeah, thank everybody that joined in tonight. Thank you, everybody that joined in. I want to thank my guests, Gary and Snake Man, Pat Turner, Daniel Benoit for stopping by for a minute. We're going to get better. I promise.
Are you sure? Is there a cure?
I don't know. I'll just sit here and put my pretty little face on the screen and be like, hello.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show.
You're more than welcome, Snake Man. You know you're welcome anytime. Same as Gary. I guess
Angel wanted to say hello.
Well, hi, Angel. I guess this is good night from Expeditions for Answers. And y'all have a great night. Be safe. And we'll see you next week. Adios.